Hi everyone, Randy Littleson, Chief Marketing Officer at Conga, and I am pleased to be joined today by Holly Muscolino, who is the Group Vice President of Content Strategies and the Future of Work at IDC. And we're going to be talking about digital transformation journey. So Holly, let's start with this. You've spoken in the past about digital first businesses. What is a digital first business, and what are the main business values that leading companies get by being a digital first business?
Sure. So I think it's probably apparent to everyone at this point that digital transformation isn't a finite destination, but rather it's an ongoing journey. So IDC has modeled out the stages of this journey, and this is based on lots and lots of ongoing research with senior decision makers across all industries and all company sizes. And we defined 3 stages. So that first stage of digital transformation, or DX, was very siloed. It was very short-term, project-focused, and not designed for scalability. And the metrics were primarily financial metrics, such as cost savings. At this next phase that we call DX 2.0, we saw digitalization across the enterprise and at scale, and a more expansive view of the metrics such as customer experience and employee experience. As we move into this third phase, we're starting to see organizations leverage these new digital capabilities to generate new value for the organization. So obviously that could be things like operational efficiency, but also new ways of engaging their customers, possibly new ways to attract and retain employees, and of course, new digital products and services. And so we're calling this third stage the digital first business. And we did some research earlier this year where we asked organizations where they were in this journey. And interestingly, over half of organizations told us that they have already shifted to a digital first strategy. And about a quarter actually initiated this even before the pandemic. Of course, that means that just under a half are still trying to figure it out, and they're still trying to execute. But the good news is that those who have already invested in digital transformation are seeing significant improvements in business outcomes. And this is actually a question that we ask every month in a monthly IT spending survey that we conduct, and the results have been consistent month over month. So many have told us that they have seen a 20% increase in revenue, in profits, and cost savings. They've told us that they've seen about a 30% increase in business agility, 20% increase in operational efficiency, and up to a 30% increase in customer satisfaction. So we're seeing that these investments in that digital transformation journey are in fact paying off.
So you've also written about a document-centric process maturity model. Can you describe that, and then how do companies use that type of approach to map their journey?
So we know that documents and content are at the heart of any business. And so the automation and the transformation of those document-centric processes need to be a part of any digital transformation strategy and digital first strategy. And of course, this includes critical documents like those found in revenue lifecycle management, contracts, for example. So we designed a maturity model. It's based on 5 different stages. Beneath each stage, we have a set of dimensions and subdimensions. It includes things like vision, which is strategy and budget. It includes process, which is governance and security. Of course, we look at the technologies themselves that are deployed. And we also have dimensions looking at the impact to work transformation. So in the end, we have a very detailed model, and this allows organizations to self-assess, identify where they are in terms of document workflow maturity, and identify gaps in their own digital transformation strategy and their technical application of that strategy. So, we expect very few documents to be at that, very few organizations to be at that very lowest level of document maturity, which would be, very manual and paper-based. But we see a surprising number of organizations just above that, which means they digitize those documents. They may have deployed some automation technology, but they're basically just mimicking or creating digital versions of that paper-based process. So the processes aren't truly re-engineered. They're not necessarily efficient, and they're not taking advantage of technological innovation. So, it's really critical to understand that just digitizing and automating does not necessarily mean transforming, because it's entirely possible to automate a broken process. So organizations really have to understand how to leverage that technology, take a step back, re-engineer those processes. Now, as we progress through those levels of maturity, we do see that happening. We start to see integration. We see silos broken. We see these companies leveraging a common technology stack. And at the most mature levels, we see organizations incorporating AI and advanced analytics for decisioning, for orchestrating these processes, and enables their human resources to focus more on generating that value in that digital first business.
Can you talk a little bit about the metrics that best-in-class companies are using to measure the success of their project, and how do you recommend people go about building the internal business case?
So, it's really hard to talk about what's best in class because it could mean so many different things depending on the project. It could mean that, metrics around delivery. It could be about quality. It could be about training and service, or business impact. So what I would suggest to organizations is what, Covey said like 30 or 40 years ago, begin with the end in mind. What does success mean? What would success look like? And how do you measure that success? And then start by measuring where you are today, and consider, business outcomes beyond those traditional business outcomes, such as revenue and cost savings. You'll consider customer satisfaction, employee engagement, and so forth. It's not always about productivity and efficiency. Then measure your progress to build that business case. And hopefully you're in a culture where it's okay to find out that potentially that project isn't a success. And then you can fine-tune it and start again.
So if we think about digital transformation of document-centric processes within revenue management, where do you see companies getting some clear wins and significant business value?
Well, again, I think it's all about breaking down those silos. It's making sure those processes are integrated, both within your organization and actually potentially extending outside your organization. And so generally, that would mean deploying a modern, cloud-enabled, common technology stack, a common data set, and a shared document repository. So, to double click on that, some of the specific technologies that I think would be important to create those end-to-end processes would be automated document generation, which not only lets you lock down your brand and lock down important clauses and other boilerplate, but means that your authors don't need to keep reinventing the wheel. It helps automate that process of generating and creating those documents. And of course, possibly the most obvious is electronic signature, which we saw come front and center during the pandemic as organizations realized that they needed to have that capability just to keep the business running. And of course, it makes perfect sense that you don't have to print a document, sign it, scan it, email it, and so forth. Now, this doesn't mean when we talk about end-to-end integration, it doesn't mean that there aren't some human-in-the-loop tasks. A perfect example is signing the document. But those times when you need to have human interaction should be intentional. And it shouldn't be that people are used to bridge disparate systems, like for rekeying, or to bridge disparate processes. And also by automating, you can free up those resources. So you can automate those kind of routine, mundane tasks, and you again free up those resources to focus on higher value tasks. Plus, you can use intelligent technologies to do tasks that humans can't do in a reasonable amount of time. So an example there might be deploying intelligent document processing to extract information from a document rather than have that manual process of reading and posting information.
So you've explained very clearly that transformation projects of document-centered processes, not so much a destination, but a journey. So what advice do you have for companies in terms of organizing and getting started with a journey?
Sure. So, you need to start by evaluating your existing document workflows and identify those that have the highest level of stakeholder pain points. So specifically, consider those that are still paper-based, and especially those where paper is perhaps used to bridge those disparate processes or disparate systems. Look at those processes that have bottlenecks or that are causing missed deadlines. And of course, most importantly, look at processes that are possibly a security risk or that are preventing you from being compliant in the way that you should be or missing compliant deadlines. The other thing we recommend is to involve all those stakeholders. And that could be not only your employees, but potentially your partners or your customers. Because that way you're sure that A, you're not missing anything, and B, it's a really good way to get buy-in as you develop a new system or a new process. And then finally, exactly what I said before, measure. Understand your starting point, understand where you want to get to, and measure your progress as you go along, and then use those metrics to make the business case. And finally, make sure that you're working with vendors who offer these modern solutions and enable the end-to-end automation and transformation that we've been talking about.
Holly, thank you for the insights. Thank you for joining us. We invite you to learn more at conga.com.